Hey y'all, welcome to season 4 of Talk to Her Nice podcast. Honestly, I can't believe that we're here. We rebranded the podcast. If you're someone who's new here, if you haven't tuned into the podcast, we actually were formerly known as Be Affirmation Podcast, but it had just been time for a change. I had been feeling really called to just change the name to something that I felt like would represent the conversations we've been having on here, and Talk to Her Nice just felt like, yes, like this is the name that we have to go with. It represents the brand, the aesthetic, the message so well, and I'm just feeling really happy overall. So today's episode is going to be kind of just like a check-in. I wanted to share with y'all on the rebranding, the cover photo, just some general updates, and kind of a theme that's been coming up for me recently in terms of letting go. So let's jump straight in. And I kind of already mentioned what sparked my interest in wanting to change the name, but I wanted to share a little bit more about my vision for Be Affirmation. So when I first started this podcast 2 years ago, which is freaking crazy, I wanted the theme and the message to just represent being nice to yourself and talking kindly to yourself. So if you're new and you don't know my story, then I want to just share really quickly with you guys. I used to have the worst self-image. I used to be so mean to myself. Constantly, every day, the thoughts that I'd be having about myself were just really negative and nasty. I would say things like, oh my God, you're so bad at that, or you look horrible, or nobody likes you. I would just say all these mean things to myself, and it obviously never felt good. And one day I just had this realization that I don't want to say these things to myself. And I sure as hell don't want to go the rest of my life being mean to myself, because at the end of the day, I have to live inside of my own mind. And it mattered to me to make it a place that I wanted to be in. I wanted to nourish my mind. I wanted to garden the thoughts that I had. And so before I started the podcast, I used to say affirmations all the time, but I had this disconnect. And I would feel like there would be this confusion of what's missing? Because I'm sitting here and saying these affirmations, but how come I don't feel them? How come I'm not living, breathing, and embodying them? And so that's what really sparked my inner work journey and doing the shadow work, tackling on my limiting beliefs and working through some of those internal wounds that I had, because it's through that work that you then build your confidence and actually be the thing that you're saying. That's how you become worthy. That's how you become deserving. That's how you become confident and believe in yourself. And so that's why I wanted to start Be Affirmation, because in my mind, I was like, oh my God, yes, this podcast is going to be all about being these nice things that we say to ourselves. It's going to be about becoming and evolving into that person that we see in our mind. But recently, I just started feeling like Be Affirmation wasn't fully giving what I wanted it to give. This podcast is more than just affirmations. We don't just say affirmations. We have deep conversations about the things that we say to ourselves. We talk about inner work. We talk about being uncomfortable. We talk about the actual work that involves becoming a better version of ourselves. So I just really wanted that first impression of what this podcast is to really hit home for people, because I was feeling like Be Affirmation was mostly drawing in people who maybe had an expectation that it would be all about affirmations, which makes sense because the word affirmation was literally in the name of the podcast. And so I just wanted to make sure that the name and the cover photo really spoke directly to that person who's out there who wants to do inner work, who wants to love themselves, who wants to be the best version of themselves, who wants to have a nurturing relationship with themselves, who's ready to parent themselves, right? The people who want to and are willing to do the work. So I really am feeling like this rebranding is now giving the message I wanted it to give. And I'm really excited to be here to do another season with you all, with the people who have been listening, who are my day ones, with the people who are listening who are brand new to the podcast. So really quick, before we move on, I do want to share, because the day ones know this, but I actually moved back home last year in April. And so you might hear noise in the background, y'all. This podcast is definitely not perfect, and it's not going to be the space for perfection. There's just no way for it to be totally quiet. So I will say that disclaimer, I do currently live with other people. And so I will try my best to enunciate loud enough so you guys can hear me and not hear the background noise. But it is what it is, y'all. I am moving out at the end of July, potentially the very beginning of August. I'm not sure yet, but I am so excited. I signed a contract for my first house, and I'm just super proud of myself. It has been a journey to get to this place, but I'm really looking forward to it. And since we're on video for the podcast, I'll definitely share some videos with you guys of what the interior looks like as I'm moving in, when I'm packing. I feel like the timing is honestly so perfect and so divine with it being summer and warm weather. I've never had a summer move-in. Anytime I've ever moved is in the winter, which is a struggle. So I'm just looking forward to having like a nice, smooth move-in. And I also wanted to share with you guys, I'm hitting my 1 year of sobriety in June, and I'm just looking really forward to that. I used to be a really heavy drinker, and alcohol just really had no place for me in my life. And so I'm honestly just looking forward to having like that moment. And I think just realization that I did it. Like I literally got to this point and I honestly could not be any more proud of myself. I'm also really excited, kind of going back to the move-in, to have a dedicated space for my podcast. Cause right now I do my podcast in my bedroom. I'm doing my YouTube channel in my bedroom, same background and everything. And I'm just really looking forward to being in this new house and having a content room, y'all. Like I'm literally going to have a second room that is dedicated to this podcast, to my YouTube channel, and to just being creative, being in flow, where I get to just like be in my feminine and you know what I mean? Like really tap into my creativity. I also made a YouTube channel for the podcast. Obviously, if you're watching this video on YouTube, you're probably like, duh. But if you're listening on the podcasting platforms, I did create a YouTube channel for the podcast because I just wanted to have a separate space where I was posting this content before I was mixing my main YouTube channel with my podcast. And I just felt like it needed to be separated. So yeah, definitely follow that YouTube page if you haven't already. I'll have that linked for y'all in the description. And as far as the last 4 weeks have gone, because if you listened to the last episode of the season 3 finale, I mentioned how I really wanted to make these next 4 weeks be about just like tuning back into myself, about reconnecting and just slowing down, doing a little bit more of what makes me happy, living in the present moment. And I just wanted to share with y'all that I followed through with that promise. I did a bookstore date. I did a picnic date. I did a cafe date. So I've definitely been doing my thing and just being in the moment, taking care of myself. And it has felt really good. And I hope you guys are doing the same. I hope you're spending whatever time you have pouring into yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes, and just doing the things that bring you back into this moment and make you feel alive. And I'm definitely excited to continue this theme of dating myself and living my life because honestly, we know this, tomorrow's not granted, and it just feels really good to still be in this moment living life despite all the aspirations and future goals that I have. So the last thing that I want to share with y'all in today's episode is just a little mini conversation around letting go and not being so glued to your plan. We've definitely talked about this before, but I just wanted to share an example of why letting go of the plan can honestly be such a beautiful thing. And I wanted to talk about my cover photo for the podcast. So I'm sure you noticed it because you clicked on today's episode, but the cover of the podcast, the rebranding that I did, is me in front of a water fountain. You can see the water in the background. I'm in the white dress and I love it. I feel like it's giving what I want it to give. But what's funny is prior to taking that photo, my plan for the cover photo was going to be me in front of some flowers, having some greenery behind me, something that really represented like nature, earthy vibes. And I mentioned this in season 3's finale. Like I wanted it to be flowers behind me. So I ended up going to a park with one of my really good friends who offered to take my photos. And the plan that I had in my mind was, okay, we're going to find some flowers. We're going to find a really cute scenery that just has a bunch of like the greenery, the colors or whatever, right? That's what I wanted. And so when me and my friend got to that park, my friend actually beat me there and she had reached out to me and was like, girl, it is super busy. Like the parking's crazy. There's so many people. There's an event. I don't know if the park is going to be the vibe. Like if this specific park is going to work. Are there any other parks that you want to do your photos at? And my initial reaction was like, oh man, because I know this park has pretty flowers. It has pretty scenery. I really wanted my podcast cover to be at this park. I immediately was like, girl, it's fine. We can go to another park. It's not going to be a big deal. I'm going to be able to still get some really awesome pictures. It's cool. So I ended up finding a different park to go with my friend. And I was hoping that that park would have more of a scenery, that it would have more flowers, more of like that kind of aesthetic that I was going for. And it didn't. Okay, we got to the park and it was like just straight up trees, like kind of plain. It just wasn't giving the vibe I hoped for it to give. Me and my friend were like, you know what? Let's just walk the park. Let's just see if we do end up finding something that might be like a cute aesthetic. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just have an open mind because I'm not tied to the idea that it has to be flowers. Yes, it was my idea. It is what I wanted, but maybe we'll find something better. And sure enough, we ended up finding a water fountain the background was super cute. My friend was like, go and sit right there. I'm gonna take your picture right here. And so she took all my pictures. We had so much fun, by the way. And when I got home and I was reviewing the pictures we had, I was like, oh my God, that's the one. And it's so funny because my friend showed me that one too. As soon as she took it, she was like, oh, this is super cute. But I remember when I saw it, like we were outside and there was just like a glare on the camera. So I could see the picture she took, but I couldn't fully see what it was giving, right? But I knew that it was cute though. And so I was like, oh my God, yeah, like I'm excited. And then I get home and I look at it and I was like, yup, this right here is the one. And so my point in all this is just to share that there's so much beauty and I think mystery and being able to let go of your plan and being open and receptive to it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love the podcast cover right now so much is because I was receptive to our plan changing. If I was glued to the fact that it needed to be the original park, if I was glued to the fact that I wanted it to be a background with flowers, I might not have been as in love with the photo like I am with the one that I currently have now for the podcast. And I just think that it's such a beautiful reminder that when you could let go a little bit to the resistance that you have, there could be something in that for you. And honestly, I'm so happy that I just was not glued to my plan. I really like the water behind me because I feel like water represents growth, spirituality, cleansing. I think it really does feed into the idea of parenting yourself, of mothering yourself, nurturing yourself. And it really just fits the theme of what this podcast is all about. So I'm just really happy that I let go of the plan. And I really hope that that can serve as a reminder for anyone listening today. If there's something that you've just been so glued to, whether it's a plan or an idea, and especially if that particular thing hasn't happened for you yet, or you're not satisfied with maybe certain outcomes in your life, I invite you to maybe let go of the tie that you have to that thing and to maybe just release it a little bit and relax and just be a little bit more in flow and allow the plan to change a little bit. So that's all I have for y'all. I am so grateful that we're in season 4 and I love this podcast so much. I love doing this. I'm grateful to all of you who have been a supporter. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys and I'll see you in next week's episode. Bye.